Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. We are here back at Holiday Inn. If you don't know where Holiday Inn Gym is, it is inside Holiday Inn Waigani Central. I will leave all the links in the description below for you to find out. We are here today with a special guest of ours. Her name's Michelle Hau'ofa. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
You are.
Awesome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce you to the audience.
Thanks for having me on your show. It's really exciting. Today is my 54th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. So I feel privileged to be able to share it with you and your viewers. About me, let me start with the most important part of my life, which is my children. I've got 3 amazing children and children-in-law, and also 3 beautiful grandchildren. So they are my life. My late father's from Tonga, my late mother's from Yule Island, Kairuku. I have a business background, 20 years in business, and the last 15 years I've spent in community development in various aspects of that. Maybe that's enough to start with.
Yeah, brief, that's great. So I invited you on the platform because we are big believers in taking responsibility about, for your own life. And I think one of the key aspects of one's personal growth is your mental health and health in general, like physical health. And I see that you're one of the advocates of that as well. Tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are on physical or mental health.
Yeah. Good question, MK. And people have asked me, what drives you? Why are you so passionate about fitness and good health? First of all, I have a strong sense of social justice and my responsibility to my nation. So being fit and healthy allows me to be the best version of myself so I can serve. And that includes my physical health, to make sure that I am physically well and fit and strong. For women my age, 54, so mid-50s, we start to lose bone density, menopause happens. So there's a lot of changes for women my age, but for any age, it's so important that we look after our health. Mental health is just as important, and I find that my physical health contributes immensely to my mental health. And again, it's that sense of being the best possible version of myself so I can serve our people and our nation. It's that simple.
Yeah. Take me back to the time when was there a point where you didn't start on taking in your health and your mental health seriously?
I guess I've always been fit, generally fit. But after I had my second child, I found that the weight piled on. I had a very heavy work schedule, and just all the pressures started. I could feel the pressures starting. I wasn't getting much sleep because I was studying at the same time, and I packed on so much weight in a year, and my mental health started being affected by that as well. And just somebody said something to me one day, and it just clicked in my head that, wow, I have to start taking care of myself. And it was from that point on that, I made a conscious effort to get active, to watch what I was eating, because I think sometimes we don't realize what we're ingesting. And that's such a huge part. I mean, I could work out 7 days a week, morning till night, but if I'm eating the wrong foods and the wrong types and etc., then it's the effect won't be as great. So it was that point on, and I've kept fairly fit and healthy from that time. Ups and downs, because that's life, but generally, kept that going.
Going back to that, you mentioned that you were under a lot of stress. Was it because of your career-wise, and how did you manage that stress?
Yeah, it was everything. It was having 2 children very close together, running a business, running a home, running a few businesses actually. Yeah. I don't know what to say, MK.
Give us some pointers on how to manage stress. Like, say if you have 5 meetings in a day and you have to prepare for all of them, how do you deal with individual tasks while attending to your kids, being, to multiple, just multitasking, being
Yeah.
able to handle that?
Do you know, at that point, I didn't do this very well. I'd get stressed and I would probably take it out on those closest to me. Now I handle stress a lot better. I'm able to center myself. I have a very strong Christian faith, so I tend to fall back into that and center my thoughts around God, around Jesus, and and deal with each issue as they come up. Yeah. I think sometimes we tend to think that we need to solve all the problems right now, but a lot of the time all you can do is what's in front of you, do that well, and then move on to the next thing.
That's very important too, like to deal with things. You can't really solve everything, like you said. And multitasking I have a very unpopular opinion on that. Multitasking isn't real.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really do multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
You just do one thing and then you do the next thing and then you do the next thing, right?
Yeah.
But if you try to multitask, you kind of leave things incomplete.
Yeah.
And you don't follow through with it. But
You're
going back
not giving
to
it to your full attention. You're not giving your
yeah,
full
you're not
attention,
giving your full
right?
attention, so it's
Yeah.
not going to be as good as, say, you concentrate your energy and focus into that one thing and you get it right,
Yeah.
and then you move to the next thing. Because I thought, like, before that, multitasking was, I do this and I do that, then I have to come back and do this because I was doing that. So yeah, just throwing away your focus doesn't really help you, especially if you're in a business or jam-packed day that you gotta run multiple businesses, attend to a lot of things. You have to put your focus on different parts.
That is true. And I believe in lists. I'm always making lists and ticking off as I go along. So that's another tool that I have to deal with the busyness. And again, it comes back to that focus. You have a list, you've got things to do, so you focus on that, get that done, tick it off, and the next and the next.
Are you a believer in like waking up early in the morning or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I find that's the only way I can fit everything into my day.
What does it, like, walk us through a day? What does your day start like?
Okay, so I probably wake up around 5:30, and I'm either at the track doing some running sets, or I'm at the gym. So I have a personal trainer, Nelson Stone, and I've been with him for the past 2 years, and that 2-year journey has just been such an evolution mentally and physically for me. So we have our routine. I work out about probably 6 days a week. And rest on the 7th, yeah. So I wake up around 5:30, I'll exercise, I finish by 7:30, and then come home, and because I train so hard, I have to have breakfast, and it's usually a high protein breakfast. And then I'll rest a little because I get quite tired, so I make sure. So listening to my body is something that I've started to do over the last 5, maybe 10 years, but more so the last 5 years, listening to my body and say, if I need rest, I'm going to take rest. Whereas back, in the early days of my career, I would just push and push and push and
go.
Yeah, 7 days a week, almost 24/7, and it was just like, you don't let up, you just keep going. So I've learned to listen to my body and take rest. And then around 9:30, then I'll get into my work. So I do consulting on a part-time basis. I chair a board at the moment, so that takes a little bit off my time because there are just some issues that we need to be working through. And I've undertaken some study as well, so that fits into my day somewhere. I like to make time for my grandchildren. So, a couple of times a week, I'll see them at least a couple of times a week. And then come the evening, I'll have a light lunch. Generally, I don't have dinner. If I do, it's light, and again high protein. And by the evening, by 9 o'clock, I'm ready to start working again. So if there's any work that I haven't done or study that I need to do, I'll probably do that from 9 till about midnight or 1 a.m. And then it's, ready for the next day.
Oh, wow. So 1 a.m. sleep, so you're getting about 4 or 5 hours and then you're up the next. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you take like power naps during the day just to
Not really. Apart from the one in the morning where I said if I'm feeling tired,
feeling tired, use rest.
Yep.
Okay.
I will take a rest. Yeah.
Because like 4 hours is 5 hours of sleep. It's not a lot to go off of.
It's not a lot to go on, especially when I'm training as hard as I'm training.
Yeah.
For example, last night I went to sleep around 2 a.m.
Wow.
And then I woke up at around 6:30 to go for my gym session, and I thought to myself, I'm not sure I'm in the optimal space to start, pushing for personal best, because I did. Today was my day for pushing for personal best, being my birthday. But then I went and I thought, what, I'm feeling strong, so I did, and I did break 2 of my PBs. Yeah. But it's not optimal, MK, and I don't suggest this to anybody. You need proper sleep, and I'm trying to get a handle on that.
True. Because sleep's one of the most important things of because you got to allow your body to rejuvenate itself, and healing process starts when your body shuts down and conserves energy.
Yeah. And there's a lot of deep mental work that happens while you're asleep as well, and in the deeper stages of sleep rather than the early shallow.
Yeah. Because there's a difference between how you sleep.
Yeah.
You think, what is his name? A doctor did a study on that. He talked on a podcast with, I forgot his name, but he's touched on a few things about deep sleep and just sleep. Yeah. Some people don't really achieve deep sleep, and they just go through the motions of just not sleeping at all, and then they suffer from sleep apnea, and then it affects them, the neurochemistry in the brain. So it's sleep is important.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are you a believer in fasting and trying to?
I have done so. From a Christian perspective, fasting is part of
the spiritual experience of
part of that. I've tried intermittent fasting, and I do a version of that. The way I eat during the day is a version of intermittent fasting, and I do believe in the value of it. So, short answer is yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
How about you?
Yeah, fasting is really good, especially if I have a lot of mental clog, because I feel in the line of work that I do, you gotta have a lot of free headspace.
Right.
If you're busy, if your body's busy digesting, you can't really use all the energy you have in your brain. Yeah. So when I have a full stomach, it's either I run out of ideas, or I'm a blank. I just sit at the screen. But when I fast, and if in the hours of say 4 to 6 hours without food, right, and then hitting that 8 to 12, that's when my brain's firing with ideas.
Wow.
So fasting's helped me a lot in terms of my work.
It's incredible that you feel that it's an immediate reaction. Yeah.
Because what I eat is I just feel I just want to slow down. My brain slows down. I'm trying to digest. I want to relax or do light work, maybe post or schedule the posts on social media and whatnot. But heavy creative wise, my brain just blanks out because of the digestion that's going on.
And it's the same from the spiritual side as well. So one saying that stayed with me right from the very start was fasting without prayer is just not eating.
Yeah.
That's all it is, not eating. So, that the fasting and the prayer go hand in hand. And as you said, if your body's not taken up by processing food, then you've got all that energy to put into that prayer and that communion with God. Yeah.
What, if I may ask, you're a Christian, but what denomination?
I attend the Baptist church. I actually grew up in the Catholic church, so I was baptized, Holy Communion,
Right.
did all of that because that's the Catholic church in PNG started in New Island, where Mum was from. So I
Right.
come from a very strong Catholic background. My dad's parents were missionaries from Tonga to Missima.
Right. Okay.
So we had that background.
Yeah,
So,
strong family background.
Yeah.
You know.
So, but me personally, I've been at the Broker Baptist Church for decades.
Right. So my mom's also Catholic,
Okay.
but she converted after she married my father, who was a Seventh-day Adventist SDA.
Yeah.
So now we grew up all being in an Adventist household there. But I can't say I go to church now. Haven't been in a while.
It's a personal thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I have my own opinions on like church and that, but I'm not going to dive into that. It's a separate discussion on its own. We're going to focus on you.
Sure.
But I want to go back to like, say, being in the industry of business development and property management and all of that. Do you feel like it's more of a male-dominated space? Did you find any struggles and trials and tribulations to get to your position?
What I have found over the years is that there's a lot of patronizing behavior towards women. And sometimes it's intentional and sometimes it's just how, I guess, men have been conditioned to behave. And I find that disrespectful to me as a professional woman. So yeah, and I think there's a lot of learned behavior that needs to be corrected. Yeah, I'm a passionate advocate for the arts.
Arts, yeah, that's,
So our artists, our painters, our sculptors, our musicians, there is so much talent with our people that is, for the most part untapped. And you see it everywhere you go, MK. There are artists on the side of the road trying to sell their wares. And it's this innate talent that, my question is, how do we tap into that as a nation so it becomes a revenue earner, both for our people and for our nation? Because the arts contribute billions to economies.
True.
And we haven't started tapping into that yet.
No.
So I'm a passionate advocate. I promote the artists as much as I can. I had, on my social media pages, I had what was called Arts on Monday. So every Monday I would feature an artist or feature some paintings that I had in my home that, so we could talk about that, and feature musicians as well. And, included in the arts is fashion.
Yeah.
So these are billion-dollar industries globally,
but aren't as much.
We still haven't tapped into that yet.
True.
Yeah.
That's a good point you bring that, because I was kind of thinking back in 2015 when I discovered the e-platform,
Right, yeah.
e-commerce platforms. I had this idea to help artists, artisans, arts and craft, to sell their stuff online.
Wow.
The how to, I had no idea at the time.
Yeah.
But I just knew that there was a possibility to help these people get items online. And now with Facebook and everything, and social media being a world of its own, I think it's helped some artists, but it's also bad for some artists because some of their work's been stolen.
Right.
Yeah, like the famous Puss West design. Have you heard about that?
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the original artist never got credit for that, and I think he's still battling it out in court or something. I followed it for a while until I stopped following it. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna check up on that. What happened was he posted a picture of his painting,
Right.
and then some Asians or some locals, I'm not going to point fingers at who, but someone took that, put it on a shirt and sold it. And that just went, like, everybody wanted a copy, They put it on bags, they put it on hats. They put it on. It just went everywhere. Passing West was everywhere.
So to me, that also speaks to a breakdown in society. Like, how does somebody take something that clearly belongs to someone
else, yeah,
and profits from it? To me, that's a indictment on society that people very willingly and very openly are able to do that.
I think it comes back to their own personal values and principles growing up. I had this conversation with a good friend of mine, and the key missing, or at least we think the missing parts are from early development, like how you raise as kids.
Sure.
Parents need to parent their kids with good values, good principles. If you raise in a household that's, it doesn't have to be rich, you know. You can grow up poor, but still have good principles and good values. Sure. Hey guys, sorry to interject this video. If you learned something from this video, you found it useful, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend. Help us get the word out there. We're not being backed by anybody. This is just a passion project. I do not get paid by bringing these people onto the show. I am just giving you guys free content because I think with the information available out there, everybody should be able to get valuable information for free. But with that being said, I do have a business, and if you want to support my business, I do content marketing, content management, social media strategies, content plans, all of that social media advertising stuff, or content marketing, strategic marketing. I'm your guy. So please reach out to me on my email. It's linked in the description of this video, or on my YouTube, or on my Facebook, my Instagram, and my TikTok. Yes, I'm on all the platforms. Reach out to me. Let's work together. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the video. So, like I said, I think that, you know, being raised in a household where you have good values and principles taught at a young adolescent stage, that is the missing component that a lot of problems, issues that are caused in our society today is because our upbringing wasn't really, we weren't guided well.
Yeah.
So we had missing gaps, missing knowledge gaps. Obviously, our education is another issue altogether. But just, you know, raising children right.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, I was having the same conversation with a friend just yesterday, and she was saying, you know, her father really spent time on her. So recognizing that she was an intelligent young woman, you know, he'd do his research, you know, how can he help her develop to be the best person she can be, and what his role as a father, how could he help her? And so he spent a lot of his, all of his spare time pouring that into her. And she's a brilliant young woman, you know, with a fantastic future ahead of her. And I said to her, you know, not everybody is as fortunate as we are to have a stable family home, somewhere safe to lay our heads. So for me, it's for those who are fortunate enough to have that background, it's our responsibility. And again, it comes back to health and well-being, to be the best possible version of ourselves so we can help those who aren't as fortunate as we are. Her point, interestingly enough, was that she didn't see that as an excuse. And she said that from a point of view of someone who'd lived in a settlement. You know, and she said it's no excuse. She said, we lived with a woman who was a single mother, had 4 children. Every day she was out there selling so she could feed her children, put them all through school. They all went to uni, and she said at the end of the day they'd come home and she'd sit them at the table and she'd just pour into them how to be a good person, Christian values, and that was their day. And can you imagine pouring into your children like that every day? Of course they're going to absorb it, right? Yeah. And start living it. So she said she didn't see that as an excuse. I'm getting goosebumps as I think about it. She said it can happen, but you need to be a committed parent to do that. Yeah. Yeah. And break those cycles. So, you know, even if you didn't have it, you know what you want for your children, or you know you want something better for your children. So, yeah, it comes back to, she really opened my eyes to that, because up until that point I thought, you know, yeah, no, can't be done.
Yeah, no, it's true. Because, I mean, there's a better part of my life where I grew up in the settlement as well. So I understand that perspective very clearly, because people choose to be like that. You don't have to be like that. When you grow up in a settlement, yes, you have less, but it doesn't mean you have to be a shit person, you know.
Right.
So-
I love that. So, yeah, so true.
Yeah, it's like you can be poor, but you still be a good person.
Yeah.
So the excuses are because I have less, fuck it, I'm just gonna go rob someone because it's easy. I don't have to work hard, and stuff like, just simple stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know, I know a lot of people who are raised in single, broken homes. Who, like the trauma they went through could literally change someone's lives, and
Yeah.
it has changed their lives.
Yeah.
But the character that they have
Yeah.
it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse, even if you don't have two parents or like a parents at all. There's a guy I know who's adopted, and he's still the nicest, most humblest person, and he's doing well for himself.
Good.
So it's like, I think it's more of an individual choice that you have to make that choice that you want to be, you want to break the generational cycle.
Yeah.
Then you will take it upon yourself to, okay, I want to be this nice person, and then it's sort of like the universal attraction, or
I really believe that you make a decision,
yeah,
and things will happen to
things will
support
happen to
that.
you,
Yeah.
because everything just falls into line.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just my opinion on that. Going back to art, so sorry we drill off art for a little bit, but yeah, art is very, like you said, it's an untapped scene, and the Boston West thing has taught a lot of artists. Now, if you go to the craft markets and you ask to take a picture of their art, they'll say no. Especially if it's like on your phone, they'll probably ask you why, if you want to post social media, or do you want to sell it to someone. But the artists that are good, that are really good, they will not allow you to take a picture at all.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, this is where legislature has to step in and have these really strong copyright laws that have teeth. So people are there's a deterrent for that kind of behavior.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off. You continue.
Go ahead. No.
I was just saying, Dwayne from IPA is a good friend of mine. They're working on, I'm not sure the progress of that, but I'll follow up on this and let you guys know. They're working on a intellectual property law, or like a guideline that is already there, but it is non-existent. Like, it's not enforced, so not a lot of people apply for it. It's called something to do with intellectual property and trademark laws. So when you're an artist, or if you're someone to deal with intellectual properties and stuff like that, you can actually apply for a copyright infringement thing. And then when you go into scenarios of the Boston West one, or if someone just shares your pictures and they copy it and make shirts out of it, you can actually take them to court and sue them, and get your money's worth back. But then again, it's P&G, anything can happen. People don't exactly have the funds to go to the courthouse and take up a whole lawsuit.
It's court battles are costly, both financially, if you're paying for a lawyer, and also time-wise. You have to be really invested in something to see it through to the end. So I hear what you're saying. I still, I'm really grateful to your friend at IPA that they're pushing this through, because it's one thing to have laws, it's another thing to have laws with teeth, that people can be prosecuted.
I get that. I was challenged one time by a friend of mine. He's like, you talk about mental health and trying to heal traumas and do personal development, but the average Papua New Guinean who's on the streets trying to fend for themselves have no idea what that is like.
That's just how life is.
Yeah, this is how life is.
You get on the bus and you're expecting that someone's going to maybe pull out a knife and get that last one kina that you have or whatever. It becomes a part of life, and I think one of the failings that we have as a society is to say to mask it and not address it.
Yeah.
Like, how many of us have been held up
Oh.
and not addressed that trauma of going through that hold up. You just cover it, you mask it, and then you move on, because what else are you going to do?
Yeah, you can't do much. Yeah. I've been held up 3 times. I laugh about it now.
Yeah.
But it is true that it's dangerous. Like, in that moment, anything could have happened. I could have died, But the thing I do when they try to rob me or put me at gunpoint. One time I was at gunpoint, the other time was night point. I have that sympathy for them that like
Yeah.
they need this, like
Yeah.
this is their way
What's
of
driving this
making
behavior?
bread.
Yeah.
And I understand that, because truth be told, growing up in a settlement, I had friends who participated in that activity that I saw that they had no choice, and then this was their way of being useful, I guess, or their version of contributing to their household, making bread,
Yeah.
So I don't blame them, but a lot of our people are not gonna really take personal development to heart or to help themselves because they're too busy trying to survive. Yeah. So we're all in survival mode.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, and so, we need people who care enough to recognize what the issue is and create policy that's going to address that. And it's not just go for a lesson and learn how to deal with your trauma. No, it's real practical applications like poverty alleviation, like having a housing policy that affects even the least of us. Real practical solutions, not just feel good, 3-day course kind of things. Yeah, they don't work. They work for the short term.
Short time,
but
yes.
we need policies to support those.
Definitely, no. Man, I was talking about survival mode and thinking, like, it'd be nice if you, or if I, or someone take this idea, if you're watching, take this idea, go out on the streets and just ask people, like, what their day-to-days are like. And most of them, even the boy sellers, all of them, they just want to put food on the table.
Sure.
That's it. So I think if we get the basic needs down to a pat, then we can start talking about the other issues or the underlying issues. Because every day, everyone's striving, doing something just to eat. Yeah. So it's just crazy. Anyway, I'm running out of things to say.
Yeah. No, there's more to say.
What's something that you want to talk about?
So when we were first discussing about coming on your show and you wanted to talk about mindset.
Mindset, yeah.
So I just wanted to, perhaps we can touch on that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think the power of the mind, what you can do with your mind is, again, untapped. And I'll touch on a couple of things. Today, on my 54th birthday, I went to the gym with the mindset of breaking my own personal bests and setting new personal bests for myself. And that included, so I had a personal best record for an elbow plank of 13 minutes.
13 minutes, man.
And my deadlift record was 110 kilos. So I thought, I want to break those. And I came in with that mindset. I could visualize it happening minute by minute, section by section. And I thought, when I get to this point, it's going to feel like this, and this is how I'm going to counter it. So that was for the plank. And for the deadlift, I was thinking, I know what 100 kilos feels like. I know what 110 kilo feels like. When it comes to 120 kilos, I don't know what it's like, but I know what the previous two. So my body is going to respond in this way. So it was a real mindset to get into that space. And today, when I went to the gym, my 13-minute record is now a 14-minute plank. And my deadlift record is now 120 kilos. And it was just that visualizing and saying, I'm going to do it, and this is how I'm going to do it.
True. Visualizing is true. It's like it works. You think that it doesn't, but it does play a huge part in like achieving your goals. And because if you can already see yourself achieving it, then you will. Yeah.
And that goes for anything. I mean, I'm using that for fitness, but what do you want to do?
Yeah, it's applicable to a lot of things.
Yeah. Do you see yourself in a lovely home with a car by the time you're 30 or whatever it is? Yeah. Visualizing.
But not to just to give you to be the devil's advocate. It's not about just visualizing it, but you have to actually do it.
Have a plan to get there.
Have a plan to get it.
Yeah.
Because if you're just visualizing, it's dreaming. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, visualizing without a plan is just dreaming.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so this is why I talked about how I was going to respond. I could visualize it, but my response was going to be this. So I had that action that was going to back up my
Action plan to
vision.
back up your
Yeah.
vision, yeah. And that's so true. You can apply it to anything in life.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when I was, when I started this, I didn't really see where I was when I wanted to go. But then when I sat down, I recorded the first one with me and the boys in there. And then I sort of visualized in my head, oh, we're gonna go 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I can already see it. I feel like the things that we have to say to people
Yeah.
has value, and people are going to value it. And not a lot of people, just the people that need it.
Yeah.
If it's for them,
Yeah.
they'll find value in it.
I always say the people that are meant to be there are the ones who turn up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible. Taking the mindset game a little bit further to, like, say if you wanted to do something with your life, but you find yourself in a situation where you can't really have those positive thoughts. You're surrounded by circumstances that aren't really ideal that leads to your vision. What do you do to kind of like help you get out of that?
I can relate to that because I have been in that situation, and for me, it's just always believing that things will get better.
Hope.
Always have hope. And again, I was having this conversation with this friend of mine that I see it as our moral duty to hold out hope to those around us. It's nothing less than our moral duty to hold out hope to those around us. Because people are watching you, whether you know it or not, people are watching you and seeing how you react to things. And when you hold out hope, it brings hope to whoever's watching you. And I had this, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. I had this epiphany when I was with a friend, and we were driving to an engagement where she was going to be a speaker. And as we were driving there, she received a phone call, and basically it said that if you want this thing done, you're going to have to pay somebody to get it done.
Wow.
And she put the phone down and she was beside herself, and she thought, corruption is just endemic. It's everywhere, and we're never going to win. And as we drove to that place, I could feel myself, my spirit just,
died a little bit.
Yeah. And I could feel that hopelessness. And then we got to where she was going to be speaking, and smart young students at the gate opened the gate widely, pointed us to where we were going, and they were so organized and so smart, and I thought, this is the future of our nation. And so we parked the car and we walked into this hall of students, right, untouched by corruption as yet. The hosts were students themselves, and they brought us through this program, so eloquent and intelligent and engaged. And in that moment, that's when I had that epiphany that we can never withhold hope from those around us. We must always, always, always hold out hope and believe that things are going to get better. And I can tell you, MK, from my experience, that things always get better.
True.
I've been in the lowest of lows, and
things always turn out better.
Always turn out well, and sometimes even better
than you imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like you can have these emotions and these doubts and all of that, but at the end of the day, it'll get better. It'll come a time when you'll look back and laugh about it.
Yeah, and from a Christian perspective, that speaks to my faith in God, that He has a plan for me. And it honestly, what I've seen, it's better than I could ever have imagined. Yeah. And so, whether you know it or not, MK, people are watching. So, always convey that hope.
True.
Yeah. Whatever's happening around you, convey that hope.
Yeah. Thank you. When it's dull as it is, or everything around PNG is dull as it is, but you gotta have hope. Somebody gotta do it.
Yeah, and be that beacon.
Be the beacon of hope. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. Honestly, I've been in a place like recently where it's getting darker. It's hard to see where to go. And a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, asked him like, "Yo, how do you?" Because he's such a good. I call him stubborn sometimes. He goes. He lost his parents. He lost his godfather that was looking after him after his parents died, and he's got his wife and kids now, and he's basically the breadwinner. And I tell him like, "How do you do it, man? How do you keep going?" And he's like, "Hope,
Yeah.
just hope for the better."
Goosebumps, yeah.
And then now that you're telling me to be the beacon of hope, it kind of reinforces that feeling of like, oh, yeah, maybe you should have hope, you know. But being a creative person, I'm very visual.
Yeah.
If I can't see it, it drives me crazy. I can't.
So does journaling help in that regard?
Journaling.
Yeah.
If my journal's dark,
Yeah.
it's filled with dark thoughts.
Yeah.
But it's gotten better over the years because I think it's my second year journaling now. I've gone through like 3 books, 4 books already. And journaling really helps because I struggle with not managing my thoughts. Like I'll think about doing something, and then I'm doing something else, and then I like I said, trying to multitask,
yeah.
trying to get everything done. But I can't do that. So when I started journaling, I organized my thoughts, right? So I put them down on paper.
Yeah.
It's outside of my head. I can physically see.
Yeah.
And then when you read back, you're like, oh, so there's the problem. So I highlight that, then
Yeah.
do this. So I usually write it. I didn't start out that way, but I write my thoughts and then I read it back and then I write the solutions on the other side. So it's like I'm kind of treating my own thoughts.
That's fantastic. And it comes back to that visualizing, but having that plan behind
Yeah.
it, you know. And I think I too like to write things down. Like, we can be talking and we can have these grand ideas, but like, I need to see it.
Yes, you have to see it, yeah.
to figure out how it
figure
all
out.
works. And sometimes, you know, you can take all these swirling thoughts and put them down on paper and think, wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah, it's actually manageable. I can do this. Yeah.
It's just when it's in our brain, it's all muddled up.
Yeah.
It's mixed with emotions and mixed with other thoughts. And like you can't see it clearly for what it is.
Yeah.
But when you put it down on paper, it's like, it's plain as day. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's the problem. I just do this. So
And I think that's really important when what you asked before, you know, how do you, if you're in that situation where it all looks hopeless, what do you do? Again, it's that lifting your vision, looking up rather than through.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting that elevated vision. Yeah.
True. No, it's very true. And also like having something to believe in, having that driving force. Finding a purpose is a big one too. Like you have to find your purpose, whether it be sports or education or, for me, my purpose is like helping to educate other people through this form of content.
Yeah.
Because when school wasn't for me. I dropped out of school even before I even finished uni. I went to uni, orientation week, I left. I just didn't want to do all of that.
Yeah.
So I learned most of the stuff that I do now in my business and all that online and through videos.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe that would be better if I can take what I know and then give it to people, but
Yeah.
for free in a video format.
Wow.
So that, like doing this podcast is kind of like what lights me up. So
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about doing it.
So using your experience to speak to others
Yes.
that are kind of that could be going through the same thing.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. A lot of people reach out to us and they give testaments and be like, oh, thank you, for the clarity that we needed. And it's nice to have people, at least one, I'm not saying like thousands of people reach out, but 1 or 2 people reach out and be like, there was one guy actually, he said he was depressed for a while, and then he stumbled upon one of our videos and he started journaling and he started, going to the gym and trying to do something that helps him better himself, reading books, personal help books. And then he got better, he got out of this depression, he just wanted to thank me. And I was like, oh man, that's so great. Is it okay if I make a video about it? And he's like, oh no, I don't want people to know who I am, so I just don't But I just wanted to thank you, so I reached out on social media, and I was just, that was, oh
It
man, that's gonna crack me up. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was good.
validates what you do, but it also validates what you've been through to get here, right? Yeah, there was a purpose in that too.
True.
I post daily what my workouts are, and sometimes I get tired of doing it because it takes up time. And I'm thinking, I question myself, why am I doing this? Is it really helpful? Is it making an impact? And every time I've had those self-doubts, somebody has reached out to me and said, thank you for your daily posts. They encourage me. I've started working out. I've started doing this. I've started doing that. And so, if you're watching, if content speaks to you, please let the creator know, because it really does validate why we do what we do. And sometimes we question ourselves.
Yeah. It's inevitable when you're on a content creation platform, and you give yourself, live your life publicly and try to better yourself publicly. You doubt yourself a lot.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. You always come across that. But like you said, having that vision of something bigger than yourself and the purpose.
And like you said, it's not thousands.
Yeah, it's just one or two.
Yeah, in your case, I think it's more than one or two. I think there's quite a number of people, but our messages are getting through.
True.
And they're reaching the people that are meant. Like you, a friend of mine sent me a message, and that morning I thought, I really don't want to post this. Anyway, I'll just post it because, it
has to be done.
It has to be done. And a friend of mine reached out to me and she said, if that message was for anybody, it was for me. And she described the last 2-3 months that she'd been going through, and how that message that I had doubted myself for posting spoke to her directly. And I thought, if that was the only one, that's enough. As you know, I'm a fitness and good health enthusiast and advocate. I see the value for everybody in that. I've trekked the Kokoda Track 3 times.
Yeah, how was that? Man.
Grueling, 96 kilometers of absolutely grueling terrain, but so worth it. Totally
worth it.
The environment, the greenery, the flora, the fauna, it's indescribable. The beauty and and because there's long periods of time where you don't have internet connection, you really cut off from the rest of the world. It's just you and the track. And for me, it was a very spiritual experience because, with my faith, it just brought me closer to God. Like I could feel the God of creation was right there in his creation with me. Yeah. I've also summited Mount Willem, 4,509 meters, the highest point in Papua New Guinea. And I wanted to share my experience of that because I think the lessons that I apply to this can be applied anywhere. So with Mount Wilhelm, because of its altitude, it doesn't matter how fit you are. If you are not acclimatized to the altitude and you get altitude sickness, you won't reach the top. Like you will not reach the top. So I thought, okay, so how do I not get altitude sickness? So that was the basis of my idea of how to reach the summit. So I looked up altitude sickness, and from my basic understanding, it's your body's inability to take oxygen and feed your body the oxygen that it needs.
Wow.
It's also caused by dehydration.
Yeah.
So because it's so cold, you forget to drink water, but it's important.
You have to drink,
hydrate. So I came up with a game plan, MK, to reach the summit of Mount Wilhelm. I thought there was a 3-point game plan: oxygenate, hydrate, and take it one step at a time. Simple. Oxygenate meant that if ever I felt my muscles were getting sore, which means they needed oxygen, I would stop and rest and give my muscles time to be rested,
recollect itself,
and keep going. So that was my plan. If my muscles were sore, I'd stop. Oxygenate. Hydrate. Keep sipping all the way up. Doesn't matter if I was thirsty or not. Water bottle was going to be there, and I was just going to keep sipping until I got to the top. And my third point was take it one step at a time. Because my logic was every step I take is a step closer to the summit. Summit's not going anywhere. It's there.
It's there, yeah.
So every step I take gets me closer. That's all I was going to do, take it one step at a time until I reach that summit. So that was my game plan. Hydrogenate, oxygenate, take it one step at a time. We were with a group of 7. There were 3 of us around my age and the rest were much, much younger.
Do you have photos?
Yeah.
Send them to me, I'll put them up.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, I'd love to do that. So 3 of us reached the summit. 4 had to turn back halfway.
Because of altitude sickness?
Because of altitude sickness. But for me, I didn't want that to be, I wanted to eliminate all possible barriers for me reaching the top. And for me, that was making sure that I didn't get altitude sickness. Hence my game plan. And so I believe in, that's what got me to the top, my game plan.
Yep.
And I think you can apply that to every aspect of your life. Oxygenate. You're like, malalo, please, malalo.
Take a rest there.
Take a rest. Summit's going to be there. But your health, your well-being is important. So if you need to oxygenate, you need to step back and breathe, be in the moment, do what you have to do to make that happen. Hydrate, please. Drink your water. Drink water, drink kula. Forget the fizzies, forget everything else.
Yeah,
Hydrate.
water.
Your body needs water to survive. Your brain needs water to survive. As you go through life, make sure you hydrate. And taking it one step at a time is applicable to any goal that we have. You have a goal, it's fixed. Every step you take is bringing you closer to that goal. I love to play the piano. I'm terrible, MK. I have 0 talent at playing the piano. But I figure if I put 10, 15 minutes a day into practicing,
You'd probably
eventually I will get better, right? So it's that, I always say I summited Mount Willem by attrition, just doing that one step at a time until I got there. And I think that we can apply that to so many of our goals in life. And
True.
don't give up. Take it one step at a time, rest if you need to, drink water all the way. You'll get there. And another thing that I wanted to say is, time is your friend. Like, don't think that time is your enemy. It's not, it's your friend. If you haven't done thing A by this amount of time, time's going to pass. Reset your goals, but
True.
yeah, time is your friend, it's not your enemy. Yeah, so learn to live with time and allow time to do its thing in your life.
True.
Yeah.
I guess it's the fear of being left behind that kind of drags a lot of people into that assumption that at this point of time, or when you're at this age, you have to have these things, So it's just, again, it's a misconception based on societal claims that, you gotta things gotta be a certain way.
Yeah.
Or when you're 25, you have to be married with kids and all of that. But yeah, you're right, take your time, take all the time you need. And I think I learned a lot from that Mount Willem experience. Yeah. Take one step at a time, hydrate, don't be able to oxygenate. Oxygenate, hydrate,
take it one step at a time.
one step at a time till you get to the pot. How was the top? Was it good?
Yeah, so
You got pictures, right?
Yes,
Awesome.
but by the time I got there, we missed the sunset because I was taking it one step,
Yeah,
I was doing my game plan. Like I didn't get there at sunrise like our other friend did, but I got there.
You got there eventually, yeah. That's not too
And I've got a photo at the summit. And,
What time of day did you make it up there?
oh gosh, it's been so long. I think we got there around, I'd say closer to midday.
But
And
it's still
time's my friend,
Yeah. That's not bad. I mean, you made it to the top. That's all that matters,
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you went not at an ideal time where you can have a great view of the sunrise, but the sunset, it's still beautiful up there.
And again, it's what you just said about, feeling the pressure to conform to somebody else's timeline. Yeah. I didn't feel that pressure. I thought, I just want to get there. I'll get there when I get there.
Sure. Ah, that's so great.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us try to compare ourselves to other people, and to I talked about this some time back, but the comparison game is very bad if you're trying to grow as a person, whether it be your business or your career. People's upbringings or people's journeys are different.
Yeah.
Every individual is different, so you can't really match up against someone who, whether they're in the same field as you, or they're pursuing the same similar goals that you're trying to do, and they achieve theirs first, and still trying to figure stuff out. It's okay. Every dog has their days, and yours will surely come, as long as you keep a level head and hydrate and oxygenate and take it one step at a time. You'll get there. Thank you. Now, but 54, you're taking pretty good care of yourself. Not a lot of people at your age, they tend to let go of their physical appearance and their health in general, because nutrition is very important too.
Very important, yeah.
Because if you take a very good example, is there's a kid who was adopted by missionaries. He had a twin brother. I was on an Australian 60 Minutes some time back. The kid went down, lived in the foster home with missionary parents for a while until he was, I think, 16 or 17, and then they flew him back up to meet his brothers and have some family time. And he was just very huge, and his brothers in the village were just stuffy, and they weren't really tall as much. They didn't have the physique of the boy in Australia. Was just huge, tall. He had a good build on him. It looks like he would have played rugby or something like that. And then it goes to show like how what we put in our bodies.
Yes.
It's very important too, because it nutritionally, a lot of us don't achieve our full potential.
Yeah.
Like, because we deprive ourselves of so many good things that our bodies just make do with what it does,
And I'm also an advocate for healthy eating, and it doesn't have to be fancy, MK. It's garden food. It's banana, taro, yam, tapioca, greens, Hau'ofa. Get your Hau'ofa into you.
I love Hau'ofa, yeah.
Yeah, all of our greens.
It's just bad. Like, you can find it at the markets, but what the big markets do is, the small little black markets also make outside in the bottle sit there. They go and they double the prices. That is something that honestly pisses me off, but we can't blame them. They're just trying to make ends meet, But you're right, going to the markets, getting the Hau'ofas and the right amount of nutrients that you need. Doesn't have to be a fancy meal. It's a simple.
The best meal I can think of that I would have this every day is fish, banana, and Hau'ofa. I would live on that for the rest of my life if I could.
Fish, banana, and Hau'ofa.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to tell you something.
Yeah, you were thinking about it, and then I started talking, and I'm going to stop.
No. It was within that train of thought.
Conforming to people's timelines or what the society. I'm saying society, but funny thing about that, though. Sorry, my mind's racing off to something else. No. It's funny how we blame society, but then we're part of the society. So it's like, who's to blame?
Yeah. So true.
Yeah. I used to be like, oh, society is like this, society is like this. And then I realized,
society.
Yeah. Like, I'm a part of the society. Oh, wait. Back up. Let me just rephrase my words.
One thing that a pastor said that really stayed with me is that you should count your days and make them count. Count your days. You have a rough idea of how you're going to live based on genetics.
Yeah.
And along with that, lifestyle, as you say, you're feeding your body well, are you looking after yourself? So you've got a fair idea of how long you're going to live. So you count your days and then you make them count. So, you know, you're going to have about 30, 40, 50 years left on this earth. What are you going to do with that time? And so all of a sudden your perspective changes from just this 1 year to, oh, I've got 30 years to achieve X or Y or Z. You know, so, and you know, I think the rush to get things done quickly is do it while you're young and while you're healthy and while you're fit and while you're strong. And but I can say to you from somebody who's on the other side of 50 that there's a different kind of strength that comes as you age.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mental strength now is so much more than it ever has been before. So it's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different.
I can relate to that because you hone it over the years, you know. You work on yourself continuously,
Yeah.
and you build on it
Yeah.
year by year, and then it's like Gary Vee, someone I follow. He says, like, people are so impatient
People are what?
so impatient, yeah, trying to get ahead of everybody. But when you're 50 and you're like, you think you're old, but nah, you're 50, you're just getting started, man.
Absolutely. I like that. No, it's so true.
It's so true because we limit ourselves
Yeah.
by the time that we think, oh, we got to do everything before 30, and then after 30, it's like you're old now, you can't do much, you know. But nah, if you think like that, you're kind of limiting yourself. You're giving yourself
Self-defeating
Yeah.
already, yeah. And I look at 30, I think you're just a baby, you're just starting, yeah. Get ready for the ride.
yeah. No, but it's so true though, because when I wasn't trying to like improve myself, I always thought, oh, by the time I go 30, that's it, I'm done. I better have my shit figured out by then,
Yeah.
or better be doing something, you know. But now I'm like, oh man, I heaps of time
Yeah.
to work on myself, try to get better. But yeah, you're right.
Impact lives as you're going along.
Oh, yeah.
As you're doing now, yeah.
If just like what's his name, Tony Robbins, if you don't find your purpose, a lot of people feel lost. If you find your purpose and if you can impact lives along the way, that gives you fulfillment. Progress without fulfillment is it's nothing. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't give you nothing. You can be like a millionaire
Yeah.
and just feel empty inside because you know if it's not.
The Bible says, "What does it profit a man if he should gain the whole world and lose his soul?" You know, so that's something that I live
Resonate
by.
with, yeah.
Yeah, it really resonates with me.
But so true.
Yeah.
It is.
And then another one along the same lines is, you know, to educate a man in mind but not in morals is to educate a menace to society. And it goes to show that, you know, having good ethics, being ethical, having integrity, they're just as important as, you know, educating your mind.
True. Some people are gifted with that, even though they're not educated.
Yeah.
It's just great. I know some people and those people tend to become community leaders
Yeah.
and pastors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's a pattern in that. Yeah.
What do you read?
Right now I'm on. There's Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson.
Yeah.
Staple. I read it like 2 times already. I'm just reading it again, just because I find inspiration
Wow.
in that book, and it slaps me in the face a lot of times.
Wow.
You know, it's like a kick in the ass. Whenever I get off course or off, I lose the focus and vision on what I want to do or what I set out to accomplish in life, I just read that book to, you know, remind myself.
What are the main points that appeal to you?
Taking responsibility, of yourself, your actions, and having that mindset that no one's coming to save you.
Wow.
Yeah. So like being an individual where you rely mostly on yourself to get stuff done
Yeah.
and to, you know, to get stuff done.
Wow.
It's like a kick in the ass, like I said. You have to take responsibility of your actions,
Yeah.
and how you carry yourself in the world, and also,
How you carry yourself in the world. I love that.
yeah,
How you carry yourself in the world. I'm taking that away. Yeah.
yeah. But it's a good book. It has a lot of layers to it. It's simply written. Like there's no big words, or there's no words where
Complex
like
ideas
complex
or-
ideas or
yeah.
anything like that. There's simple parables, there's simple paraphrases, and you just dissect it however you feel like you make sense of it, and then you can relate to it to your own life.
Yeah.
I think it's a book that's more like a universal language type of thing, regardless of your situation, whether it be you're down dirt poor or you're rich and famous, you'll still find some value in that book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those books.
I've seen it. I just never.
You should get a copy. There's Felicity, Gigi. So she's a woman that sells copies, books like that.
Oh.
Yeah, in PNG.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a copy of her. I think she sells.
Is she on social?
Yeah, she's a Felicity Gigi's.
Felicity G.
G-I-G-I.
Okay. Oh.
Free plug, by the way, Felicity.
Oh, are we still recording?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, here I am lounging away. Sorry.
It's fine, yeah.
I guess if there was one last message I'd like to leave the viewers is just to reiterate that things will always get better. Doesn't matter what you're feeling in the now, that you're feeling things are hopeless or they can't get any better because you can't see a way out. There will always be a way out. Things will get better. It was a wonderful experience being on your podcast. I think it's the first time I've been on a podcast.
On a podcast? Oh,
yes.
okay.
So thank you for the invitation. Thank
Yeah.
you for the opportunity to reach out to your viewers. And I hope whatever I've shared has some value. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, peace, signing out.